Half Pod Will Travel. I'm Mike Milan.
I'm Dana Henson.
And we're back, baby.
Hey, good to be back.
All right, so I'm having a little bit of it seems like a little bit of a respiratory problem, honestly. Like a little bit of asthma or something.
Well, I thought you quit smoking.
I quit smoking, but it's like,
to help?
I think my lungs are like trying to repair themselves, so like I've been like really short of breath.
Yeah, I remember you told me about, was it last episode you talked about your hike with Andy Moe?
No, I think that was episode 2.
That was the 4th of July.
Asshole,
that's right. Yeah, that's
but
right. How
Andy and I have been hiking about once a week, twice a week, and it's been helping a little bit. I guess like my lungs feel like a little bit better, but at the same time, it's like I don't know, like they still are like kind of healing. I guess It doesn't just happen overnight. I mean, years of smoking you don't just cure in a weekend. But also being down in Coos Bay instead of Salem, like there's different allergies and stuff here, so I'm just like a little congested or whatever.
Yeah, we're kind of taking turns traveling and where we record these. For the past few episodes I've gone to Salem, but this is the first time we're actually recording here in Coos Bay, which is kind of our friendship hometown. It's
where we first met. I used to live just right around the block.
Yeah, I used to walk over to your house and we'd watch movies and write and play video games.
Yeah, I mean, I always liked coming to your house more, but I think we got away with a lot more at my house.
Yeah, you kind of had a more secluded space, I guess.
Right.
Like, even though your because we had the same amount of people living in our household, because you had your father and 2 sisters, and I had my parents and my brother.
Right.
So, I mean, it was both four-person households.
Right, but yeah, everyone kind of left us alone because they knew that we were like working on stuff, and you know we were allowed to be pretty loud and crazy. But I don't know, nobody ever really wants to like stay home. You know, everybody kind of wants to go everywhere else. But anyway, so speaking of kind of childhood homes and all that, you want to talk about how we met?
We're gonna dive into that well today.
We could.
Yeah, might as well. We're in our stomping grounds. Why not? So I guess I'll start because I think my point of view of this kind of speaks volumes as to what my impression of you was at first. God. So I know you hate me telling this story because it doesn't make you look in a very good light, but
and I don't even know if I believe this story, honestly. Every time you tell it, I'm always like, that seems like bullshit.
No, it was believe me, shit like this traumatizes you.
Didn't I tell you Santa wasn't real or something?
It's close to that.
Yeah.
So this was my very first day in high school. This was my first day in freshman year. You were a sophomore.
Yeah.
And I didn't know you. I think I'd probably seen you once before, maybe a couple times before, but I didn't know anything about you. So I have my first day of high school, and anybody's first day of high school is kind of nerve-wracking. Mm-hmm. You're putting yourself quite a bit out there, you know, social acceptance. You're not just being judged by, you know, if you're in 7th grade, you're not being judged by 8th graders anymore. You're like, you're a 9th grader being judged by 10th, 11th, 12th graders. Right. And it's like, it's very intimidating. Even more intimidating now that it's like 8th through 12 over there.
Right,
it's like, God, I can't even imagine how shitty that is. But anyway, so I'm like really nervous, and I've just kind of made it through the day like in one piece, and I'm happy. All that's left to overcome is the bus ride home.
Oh, those are always the worst.
Yeah, and honestly, the bus is like the most intimidating place to be because I lived in the Empire area, and there's just a lot of shady people.
A lot of the hood rats of the school and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And so I get on the bus, and the bus is already packed. Like it's early in the school year, so every single kid is going. There's nobody skipping really at this point. And so all the seats are taken. I start from the front, and I'm working my way back. Every single row filled. It's like that scene in Forrest Gump. Taken. Seats taken.
Seats taken.
I was little Forrest in that moment. And
was that one of like the bigot, dumb Alabama kids?
So I get to the back of the bus, and I see this kind of angry-looking guy in a black sweatshirt looking out the window with his headphones on. And he's focused on something. I don't know what he's looking at, but he's not paying attention to me. He's not paying attention to anybody. He's zoning out. That's the only seat that's available. And I kind of very delicately just kind of sit down at the very edge of the seat just to give this guy some space. What I don't realize is I have my backpack on, and as I'm sitting down, I don't realize it, but the backpack gets on I could say it now. This was you sitting in this seat. It gets on your lap, and I don't realize it.
Oh God.
And so I sit down, and I just hear someone say, "Get your fucking bag off my lap." And it doesn't register because I'm not even really thinking. I'm just thinking like, oh, thank God I got a seat. Like I can go home now. So I hear that, but I don't really pay much attention to it. And then a few seconds later, I just, with the force of all of nature, just like this gorilla just like push. I just am launched out of the seat, and I'm like suddenly in the aisle. Like I managed to like stand on my feet. I didn't fall on my face. I stood up on my feet and I just turn and look you square in the eyes, and you just say, "Don't sit on my lap like I'm fucking Santa Claus, dude." And I was like, "Sorry." and I take off my backpack and I just sit at the very, very edge of the seat. Like basically I'm sitting in the aisle just with my just a hair from my right ass cheek just like resting on the chair, and that's it. And
I have zero recollection of that whatsoever.
like I remember it. I mean, you could tell I remember it in vivid detail. Like I really remember this.
That really wasn't like me, because I really wasn't like an asshole to kids who like weren't an asshole. I just have no recollection of that at all.
You maybe you're just having a bad day. It was the start of the school year. Maybe you just didn't want to be there.
Well, because I remember I ran into you when I was an 8th grader and you were a 7th grader.
Really?
And I was like singing the Blues Brothers or something like that, and like you chimed in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to count that as our first
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would have remembered you. Like, you know, that was the kid I sang Blues Brothers with, but
yeah, that's right. Because you were singing.
I wasn't really a bully. I was kind of like I would like bully the bullies. So I don't know why I would have like freaked out on you like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I was always a target for you though, because after that, and by the way, that was the most intense bus ride ever. We're going home. You weren't saying again. You just like focused out the window. Didn't say a word. And I was just praying that my stop would be before your stop, so I didn't have to like get out of your way for you to get up, because I thought you'd push me again. So I was like just so ready to be off that bus. And I think I even asked my parents, like, "Do you think you can like give me rides to school or something?"
Oh my God!
I seriously was that bad. I was
Jesus,
like that.
I barely touched you.
And oh God, and there was even like it was like a prison drama, because like after
oh my God.
after like I got pushed, there was like this like woman, like, or not woman, just this girl like sitting next to me, like across, and she was like, "Don't worry about him. He's just having a bad day. He's a good guy." And be like, I'll be your mama bird."
Oh my God. What?
I'm not even kidding. Like this like freaking like 14-year-old meth addict is just like it's just like, "I'll be your mama bird." Like, and I was like,
oh my God.
and she's like, I protect the freshmen, like, so just like stay with me, and I'm like, I got your back.
I think I remember who that was. She was like this like skinny meth addict, like blonde haired chick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We had a lot of weird characters on the bus. Cause okay, now keep going to the memories to where we actually become friends.
Right. We could talk about our bus chronicles later.
We had a lot of crazy bus stories.
Yeah.
Sasquatch. Do you remember Sasquatch?
Oh man, it's been a while.
I don't know if we should talk about Sasquatch or not. And then the
bug lady. Yeah. Man, I don't know if to protect privacy, maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't. I mean, we only know them as Sasquatch and Bus Lady, though.
Yeah, bug lady. I guess we could go.
Anyway, just keep going.
Right. So, flash forward a year, I think.
I don't know if it was a whole year.
Maybe 4 or 5 months, because it was when I first started radio.
Right.
We were in the same radio class. I think I recognized you, but you didn't recognize me.
Right.
And I didn't really talk to you at all. I just kind of avoided all contact. But my other good friend, Anthony Chavez,
who like at the time was kind of like I don't know, because I love Anthony so much now. He's like a dad, and he has kids, and he's so mature and just an awesome guy.
He's doing good for himself. Anthony, if you're listening, miss you, buddy.
Yeah, we totally love you, dude. But like back then, Anthony was like a total spaz. You know what I mean? He was a pretty goofy kid, and we became friends. And me and Anthony, and from my recollection, is we were in radio class. It was me, you, and Anthony, and Anthony was like, "Oh, you have to meet my friend Dana, because like you really like movies, he really likes movies, and you guys should totally meet." And you can take it from there.
Anthony and I were friends since, probably at least 7th grade, maybe a little bit before. And so he was telling me like, "Oh, you got to meet Mike. I got to introduce you to Mike." And I know who you were, and I was just like,
Because I was pretty famous in that school. Just about everyone knew my name.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just like, no, that's all right. I know that's all right. But we kind of eventually had to come to terms, and come face to face. It was inevitable because we were in the same class. And I forget what our conversations typically tended to be, but I know every time I would bring something up, you would immediately shut it down and insult me. The example that comes to mind is the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
So I think there was a new Foo Fighters album out or something, and I was talking about it. And I was like, oh, wow, this new album's really great. I think it was the Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace.
Right.
I was like, oh, this album's fucking great. Like, I love it. Like, all these great
You wouldn't
songs.
have said fuck back
Oh,
then.
no. I was like, this album is freaking good.
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, you'd just be like, oh, that's cool, but Foo Fighters suck. Be like, no, they don't. And you just be like, yeah, Foo Fighters suck.
I like the Foo Fighters, too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, like, and eventually we'd talk about how much we love the Foo Fighters, but you targeted me.
I don't know what it was. I think it's maybe because I liked you, but I don't know. Like,
yeah.
You know how like a girl sometimes picks on a boy 'cause she likes him? I think it was kind of like that. I wanted to be your Papa Bird.
Yeah, and I've come to realize that. And you even went as far as like one day, like I was working on a project on the computer and like editing some audio files, and you walk over and you're like, hey man, all that stuff I said about Foo Fighters, I didn't mean it. Like, they're actually pretty cool. I was like, yeah, it's cool. Glad to hear that. I love them. And he was like, yeah, man, take care. And he pat my back.
Oh, man.
And then I just see a big smirk on your face, and I hear Anthony. And I look at my back, and I see a piece of paper, and I pull the paper off, and the paper says Foo Fighters suck. I just shake my head and crumple up the paper and throw it away. I'm just like, I hate my life.
I hate this guy.
And so I think you could probably... You're going to have to talk more about how you kind of edged your way into my life, because honestly, that's a little... I don't know how you did it, really.
Well, like, back then, I didn't really think I was picking on you. I thought I was being funny.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I didn't really think that, like...
And I didn't take it personally.
Right, because I wasn't like, you're a faggot, or anything like that. I wasn't like a serious bully, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I thought I was being hilarious, because Anthony really thought it was funny.
Oh, Anthony he never laughed as hard in his life, I don't think.
Right, and I mean, you didn't really take it as, like, an altercation, because you weren't like, fuck you, man. Or, like,
I was a good sport.
Yeah, you're
about
just kind of like, ha ha ha. I mean, but they're good. Like, I mean, I remember you said that a lot. And then we had some other mutual friends, you know what I mean, who would also kind of hang out in our little radio clique, and like, I thought I was being like friendly to you. I thought that you thought it was funny or something like that. And I never really saw it as like I was like bullying you or anything like that. And I remember I remember I was like volunteering one night at the football stadium. I was like doing like parking duty or something. And the day before, Anthony was like, oh, hey, like I'm going over to Dana's tomorrow night. He really wants you to come. Like, he wants you to come and stay the night. And I'm like, okay, well, I probably need a ride over to his house because I'm doing this volunteer thing. And, like, somehow Anthony was just like, oh, don't worry, like, his mom will come pick you up. Somehow, I don't remember exactly what happened, but, like, he arranged your mom to come get me, I think.
And I went with, it was kind of a situation where I didn't really invite you over. Anthony invited you over.
Right.
Yeah, it was that, I think even before I really had time to agree, Anthony was like, oh, Mike says he can come over to your house. And I was just like, why would I want him over at my house?
Right.
I just pictured you like, walking
breaking
in,
your toys.
Yeah, just like busting the door down, like calling my dad an asshole, and like slapping my mom in the face, and
just eating all the food in your fridge.
Yeah,
like being like like Biff from Back to the Future. Like,
yeah.
Oh, all you got for me is light beer. Like,
yeah, exactly. Just being a total jerk and just ruining everything.
Knocking on your head.
Yeah.
McFly.
Which I have a ton of movies. I just pictured you like walking in and just being like, hey, like, is this video more? And just like taking all my movies or something and just stealing them or breaking them. And I was just like, I don't want that shit in my life, no. But Anthony was like, oh, come on, like, it'll be fun, it'll be great. And eventually I just kind of caved. I was like,
because
okay.
It really was out of your control, because I was already like on my way over.
Yeah. I was just kind of like, okay.
And for some reason, I don't think you told your mom that you didn't like me, because your mom was like, oh yeah, no problem. Like, I'll go pick him up.
I didn't really let her know the history between us.
Right.
I was just like, hey, I have a friend named Mike who's going to come over. And you did promise me, like, before you came over, you're like, oh, I'm good with parents, dude. Like, I'm not like I am at school.
Right, like I don't curse and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I trusted you. I was like, okay. And you were, like, I remember you had my mom laughing the whole way to the house.
Well,
yeah.
I wanted to make a good impression, so I remember I was like, I just would watch like Jim Gaffigan stand up, so I was like talking like, you know how, I don't know, I don't even remember, but I remember I was like trying to like channel Jim Gaffigan and just be really funny for your mom and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I remember that ride over because there's like a big sandhill in between our house.
Yeah.
And I told your mom I lived in that sandhill with like the Tuscan Raiders or my parents.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, I don't know if you met my parents, they're Tuscan Raiders.
It's like they live right in that sandhill there. They're sand people. Yeah, but yeah, and that first night at your house, I remember you had just built the addition or whatever.
Yeah.
And we had like some pizza and all that, and I was like, all right, well, this is kind of boring. Like, and, no, not really, but
we played Xbox.
Yeah.
Anthony brought like Modern Warfare or something,
right?
Whatever the game was.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was one of those, whatever the new Call of Duty was.
Yeah.
And then you were kind of like, hey, do you like video games? I'm like, yeah, they're all right. And you're like, well, we have some stuff on YouTube if you want to see it. Like, we have some videos and stuff that we make, and I was like, hell yeah, like, let's watch what you got. And I watched like all your guys' like home movies that you would make and all that. And I'm like, dude, like I want to be in, like I want to do this shit. Mm-hmm. And you're like, well, we probably won't film anything tonight, but I mean, you know, you just live around the block, like we can film more stuff. And then we watched some really great videos that night, some funny stuff like
classic YouTube. Yeah.
Like the
Rogue Helicopter Pilot was one.
Yeah. Did we watch Raymond?
I think we watched a few Ray Lymans. I think that's where we discovered him.
Yeah,
because it has a very clickbaity title. How long can you go without laughing? And we clicked on it, and I don't think we even really got it at the time, but because I remember, like, I think even years later we remembered that video,
right?
And then truly discovered how
genius
amazing
it really was.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the Ray, just search Ray Lyman in YouTube. There's about 6 videos,
and they're like public's. What are they called? Like city council meetings. Yeah, that are open to the public, and he gets up and talks to the board members, and it's
some of the finest unscripted comedy that's not supposed to be comedy.
It's really, really good stuff. Yeah, look up Ray Lineman, Lineman.
It's actually Lyman, Lyman.
Oh shit, I haven't looked it up in years, but yeah, Ray Lyman. You'll know what we're talking about. He's a big fat guy who wears like a weird jacket and a hat, and you'll just know it when you see it. But I remember after that first night, spending the night at your house, we became like good friends after that.
After that night, I really changed my tune about how I felt about you. Yeah, because I saw that you were really a pretty genuine person.
Right.
Like, even though like you had fun like picking on me, like I kind of learned it was like, okay, there isn't really any animosity to it.
Right.
It's like you actually, I think even that night, like we talked a lot about movies, and then you were also, I think that was probably about when it started. I started lending you a ton of movies.
Yeah, you would like lend me a new movie to watch like every day.
Yeah,
which was pretty cool.
You reminded me. It started with The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, the first movie was Shawshank Redemption, and then it was Magnolia, and then I remember like Requiem for a Dream and like
some
Jacob's Ladder.
Heavy
like,
movies to start.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus, this kid's younger than me. How's he watch this shit?
Yeah.
But yeah, and that helped open up my eyes to a lot of cinema and stuff I hadn't seen yet. Because up until then, I'd seen like 3 movies, like Terminator 2 and like Point Break and like Pink Floyd The Wall, were like the only 3 movies I knew besides Blues Brothers.
Good movies to have in your repertoire, though.
For sure, but being like a 9-year-old and being able I knew like every word of Terminator 2, like it was pretty impressive. But yeah, we formed like a really tight bond in high school.
I think probably starting from that night.
Yeah. Because after that, I remember I was like super protective over you. Yeah. Sort of like if anybody else had ever said anything to you that you didn't like, I was like, "I'll fuck that kid up."
I remember you would tell me. Yeah, we used to stay over at my house a lot. And we'd always have conversations that go into
I learned that you weren't like me because, I mean, like, up until that point, I'd been expelled from school. I'd been suspended from school. I'd been in fights and all that. And I realized you're not that kind of person at all. You know what I mean? Like, you've never been in a fight. You've never really been in an argument. Like, and I'm like, oh, then I got to protect you. Like,
yeah. And you kind of were my, like, protector. Like,
yeah, you're
my
like
guardian.
The John Connor, and I was like your Terminator.
Exactly,
like, stand on one foot, okay? Like, I did whatever you said.
Yeah.
Like,
I taught you how to smile, and I taught you catchphrases and all this stuff.
Dickwad.
Yeah. And, I remember we'd have these conversations that go into like 3 or 4 in the morning, and we'd have school. We have to get up at 6 a.m. the next day.
What did I say? Like, I didn't care if I was fucking Queen Latifah. Yeah. I'd stop and come protect you or something like that. Like,
I remember that was like to illustrate like how far you'd go to.
I was like swearing my allegiance to you.
Yeah, you're just like, if man, Like if I had like a date night with Queen Latifah and I was fucking Queen Latifah, like I would stop what I was doing if I heard you were in trouble and come and help you. Like,
I think I just watched like Run Sauce or something, like whatever movie she was in with Steve Martin. But anyway, yeah. So after that, yeah, and our radio sessions got really, really good. We would collaborate like almost every day on radio stuff and making advertisements for businesses and all that. And we were always like super creative and then just kind of fed off each other.
And that's kind of how the actual show started. Was
well, I remember you were really apprehensive about the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're at this point in time you were still pretty shy.
Yeah.
And Steve offered me a radio show and I'm like, well, can I do it with Dana? And he goes, if Dana says yes, and then sure. And yeah, I remember talking to you about it. You're like, I really don't know. Like, it sounds like it's kind of like your thing, and I don't really kind of, I don't want to be like interceding or anything like that. I'm like, no. This would be our thing, our show. And yeah, eventually I twisted your arm enough to where you agreed to do it.
Yeah,
if I'm remembering that like 100% accurately.
No, that's what I remember it to be too, and I'm glad you did because it turned into a passion.
Yeah,
and
I mean, if it wasn't for that radio show, I guarantee it, we wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean,
because you kind of think that it's like it's way too out there, it's too difficult to do, but it's really not difficult at all.
Yeah. And I mean, we definitely bettered ourselves. It bettered me as a person because it helped me socially.
Right.
Not with social standing necessarily, but more so just my ability to communicate.
Well, and you kind of helped develop your own personality too. You realized that you could be yourself, and you knew how to be yourself. You know what I mean? Like you knew how to be funny and how to talk to people, and because you can't be on air and just be like a dipshit. You have to have personality. So it was good for both of us.
Well, you can. You just it has to be like political talk radio.
Yeah. Or Tony Scott.
Yeah.
I don't think he's around anymore. He retired.
No.
He offered me a job.
Did he?
Yeah. Well, not really. I kind of asked him if I could work for him, and he was like, "No, I don't think I'm going to be at this radio station much longer." But
just to be clear, not the director Tony Scott, who's also dead, but
yeah, the radio Tony Scott isn't dead.
Oh, he just retired.
Yeah, he's just retired.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, I haven't really heard, but
no, I follow him on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
He's always like, yeah, I party with Kiss. Like every day he posts like, oh yeah, I party with Pink Floyd.
Oh, that's his claim to
fame.
fame.
Man, Tony, you're awesome. No, but anyway, that's getting off on a whole different tangent.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we decided to do the radio show. And that was like so popular, like everybody loved that radio show, and we were kind of famous in the school for that.
Yeah, a lot of people that weren't really. I liked it because it kind of united a lot of people that weren't in our social cliques.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of jocks, like really loved it, and like the preppy kids, the emo kids, whatever cliques,
Because I never really felt like I was in a clique, and I think you probably would felt the same way because you were friends with.
I was friends with everybody. I was friends with the rednecks. I was friends with the punks, the skaters, everybody. But the only people I really didn't get along with were the rednecks. I got a couple rednecky friends, but like the only people I'd ever get in fights with were the redneck kids.
Yeah.
I mean, because like I don't know, like every day I changed kind of how I look. Like one day I'd rock a mohawk, one day I wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like one day I'd come with a school like a studded jacket, one day I wouldn't. I mean, it's just I was always kind of switching up in school.
Yeah, and so it was cool to see everybody that different social standings at the school. Like the popular kids liked it, the not so popular kids liked it, and it to me
almost everybody has a radio, you know, in their car or their house, whatever.
And that was fine. Like I loved it because I didn't really think about classes so much, and so I just loved that everybody was listening and enjoying it, and it was kind of uniting people.
And kids would like come up to us and tell us like how cool it was and all that. So,
yeah.
I mean, I still like without a doubt, I think that was the best radio show they've ever had. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I haven't really listened to what else is going on there.
Yeah,
but,
I don't need to.
Yeah, but I'm proud of what we accomplished there for sure.
Right. But yeah, so that's kind of like our origin story. That's kind of how we met and all that.
Yeah.
But I mean, since then, I mean, Jesus, that was like what, like 2008, 2007.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We did a lot of stuff together in high school. We tied for first place in a slam poem competition.
I got you to do the slam poem thing with me.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I drank a bottle of Pepto-Bismol to win that fucking trophy.
Yeah, that's right. Which we tied, didn't we? It was a 3-way tie. Pardon me.
I don't remember.
I
remember us being the best. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Well, I want to give credit to Tomas Edwards, who's also awesome.
Yeah, that kid. I think he's like trying to become a rapper. I think he's like making beats and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, like even back when he was just a kid in high school, the kid could write.
Yeah, most certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird time high school poetry, just a lot of hormones and not
Oh,
knowing
yeah.
what the fuck you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I even think back at that poem, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It doesn't make any sense. The
Yeah.
one we wrote, all we did was make fun of pop culture. Like,
Yeah.
that was really it.
And that's kind of what we were all about. Just
Right.
kind of, we were very, kind of fuck the system kind of kids,
Right.
So we kind of wanted to encapsulate that. So our poem was all about, we made fun of like the Disney Channel and consumerist culture. And
yeah, the jeans, the holes in them that were super popular back then, like having
Yeah.
like ripped up jeans.
we made fun of rap music. Just kind of just a melting pot of all this kind of stuff
No,
that
it's
we kind of
fun.
hated.
I think a lot of
so-
kids really liked it.
Yeah, and it went over well because we tried to think of like visual. We didn't just like read a poem. We tried to think of like visual things we could do to make it entertaining.
In high school, what was like your dream job?
My dream job in high school, probably just being a movie director.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'd always kind of like envisioned that's what my path was gonna be. I watch all these movies. I want to think of something I could do with all this knowledge and all this stuff, like, because I'm the kind of guy that I don't like to waste time.
Right.
So I'm thinking like, okay, I'm watching all these movies. I'm passionate about movies. What can I do with this? I can make movies. I can direct.
Right.
So that was always kind of like in high school. Like I told people like I'm a director. I hadn't made a fucking movie in my life, but I told people I'm a director.
Right.
So I think back and I'm kind of like, I probably shouldn't have said. 'Cause
I doubt
still-
anyone fucking remembers.
Well,
you know?
the thing is, I still get people to this day who, when they see me, they're like, "Hey, you making movies yet?" And I'm like, I'm not really. That's not really what I'm planning on doing. And right now,
Right.
you don't know how life's going to turn out. If I had an opportunity to make a movie, sure I would.
course.
But it's like I don't really want to do that as like my life's work, my career. So, but I still keep that in mind because there still is that kind of that essence there that I just kind of have I think I have a creative spirit.
Right.
If I'm not doing something creative, I kind of get in a depressed mood. So
Yeah, I know what that's like. I mean, up until I was doing this show, dude, I was just like, I don't know. I felt like I was like really lost. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, all I do now is work. Like, I don't do anything for myself. I don't do anything creative. Like, that was kind of a big inspiration to start this show. The podcast.
yeah.
Yeah, it sucked. I remember like, just be like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, all I do is work nonstop. Like, that's it. Like, I gotta do something for myself. I gotta do something that is an outlet for me to be creative and all that. And that's when I definitely was like, yeah, I gotta work on the show. I gotta make something with Dana. So that was my main inspiration for starting the podcast, just trying to be creative and have an outlet for that.
Yeah. Can you think of what I'm kind of curious. I don't know if I've ever really asked. Before I met you, what were you like? What were you passionate about? Like, what did you like doing? What did you think of yourself doing in the future?
Before I met you and really, really got into films, I was into playing bass guitar. I thought I'd be like in a punk band. I really wanted to like be in a punk band, like really, really bad.
I had the attitude for it.
Yeah, and the look. I mean, I looked the part. I had the mohawk and all that shit. But I really wanted to play bass and like I wanted to do like a punk band. I also wanted to be like a football player. I wanted to be a bass player, football player. And I mean, the things I was passionate about were like football. I really loved video games. Like retro video games, not like modern video games. I didn't really like the Call of Duties and all that, but I really loved like old school Zelda and whatnot. But what my dream job was to be like Conan O'Brien. I wanted to have a talk show. That's what I really, really wanted to do at the time because I loved Conan O'Brien. I thought he was a genius as a kid. I'm trying to remember what other shit I was into, what I wanted to be.
I mean, even back then, you were really into music. Like,
I was really. I mean, I still am. I'm still totally into music.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think your tastes have changed quite a bit, but.
Yeah, most certainly.
Yeah. But that's the case for everybody.
I also wanted to rap. Because I could write a lot of poetry and whatnot. I thought I'd be good at it. But...
And you wrote a lot in high school.
Yeah, I had a lot of notebooks and shit that are still like in storage somewhere, of just like poems I'd written or like journal entries or whatever.
Because that slam poem thing we entered, it wasn't your first. Like you'd already done two before.
I like taken like first place like the last 2 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And subsequently, you kept doing it pretty much all through your high school career. You kept
right, but as soon as I got out of high school, I stopped doing it because I was like, "This is stupid." Like, I don't know. I don't know. I just felt like I fell out of love with poetry, like really hardcore after high school. Because kind of like I remember my dad would push me so hard. He's like, "You're such a good writer. Like, you should keep writing." I'm like, "The fuck? Poetry is nothing. Like, poetry means nothing." And my dad's like, "No, you're totally wrong. Like, you're so good at it." But I was like, it doesn't contribute to the world in any way. Like, I remember I felt really negative about it. And I think it's because I was embarrassed about what I wrote. Because, like, you know, in high school you change, you develop, and then out of high school you change even more.
Yeah.
And like looking back at the stuff I wrote, I was like, I hate that stuff. Like, I was so embarrassed by it, so I kind of put poetry like in a box and like threw it away. You know what I mean? I was done with it.
Yeah.
But I remember my dad was so heartbroken because my dad like loved reading my writing, but I was fucking over it. You know?
Yeah. You've gotten back into writing, which is good.
Yeah, now I write screenplays, you know what I mean? Now I write comedy, like I write like blogs, like funny blogs, like when I did my travel blog in China.
Yeah.
I really loved writing. I really truly do, but poetry is over for me. I don't like I was thinking like if I were to try to sit down and write a poem, I don't even think I could anymore cuz my brain doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
My brain like I can write funny songs. Like just before we turned on the mic, I was like riffing on like Creedence and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't think I could sit down and even think about trying to write a poem.
Yeah.
And like when I'm writing screenplays and jokes, because you know I'm trying to be a comedian, so I write like a lot of comedy bits. Nothing is forced. I don't sit down and think, oh, I need to be fucking funny. Be funny right now. I'm just like working throughout the day or whatever, then I get this idea for like a little joke. And then that starts like a whole big thing. And I remember before you even started the show, I had a script for the first episode I wanted to do. And I was like all about like sayings, like popular sayings, like sleep with one eye open. I don't have it on my phone anymore because I got a new phone, but all those stupid sayings, beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Like I really wanted to talk about like what our impressions of those were. Like when you first hear beat around the bush, what's the first thing you think of? Mm-hmm. You know, and then actually like do some research and say, oh well, this is what it means. This is what it came from. I was like, I really want that to be a first episode. And I wrote like this whole big long thing, and then I was like, I really don't want a script. You know, I wanted it to be like just like us conversing, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's really what
we're doing now. Yeah.
Right.
So.
And whether it's funny or entertaining or not, I mean, it's just part of. It's just something for us to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But what do you want to do now?
Well, now my attention's kind of shifted because I went to school in Portland, PSU, and I studied film because I knew it was the direction I was going in. I just didn't know what role I was going to have, whether I was going to be involved production-wise, or if I was going to be... I didn't think I was going to be a writer. I've never really enjoyed the writing process. When I force myself to write, I'm always proud of what I've done, but I don't like the actual process of writing,
right.
So I kind of like scratched that off the list. I was still thinking maybe I could direct, but then I kind of started working and did my own kind of short films and stuff in college. And I liked how they turned out, but I just I wasn't getting as excited as I thought I would be with it.
Right.
I kind of got more excited doing the things that were a little, almost kind of more like the book work.
Right.
Whenever we'd have like a paper, like write a 10-page essay on the history of Edison's kinetoscope, you know, like I'd actually enjoy like researching it
right.
and writing about it and digging up stuff and figuring, you know, like assembling all this information and writing something and presenting it. And I always got high marks. I always got, you know, my professor saying like, "Oh, this is really well researched and well cited," and I just like
just copy and paste from Wikipedia.
Exactly, yeah. Which I mean, when you're in a college institution, you can't. That shit doesn't fly anymore.
Right.
And then a lot of people saw it as like busy work because they had to take those classes to do the production classes. But I always enjoyed those more than the production classes. And I never really. Sometimes it kind of takes. You have to kind of step outside of yourself a little bit to realize that the path has kind of been clear all along, but you just didn't realize it. Because I was so set in like, well, you know, I can't get a job writing papers, so I got to think of some kind of production job or. You know, look for film crew stuff where I can just be like a grip or, you know, a whatever they need, like lay down dolly tracks or whatever the hell is going on. And I got my degree, Bachelor of Science, and I came back home and I've been working. That's when I got the job at the mill, just to kind of work and save up money, start paying off loans. And it was kind of a weird, I don't know if you can call it fate, but it definitely is kind of a weird line of things having to go a certain way for me to realize what I wanted to do.
Right.
I hung out with you. We went to a record store called Ranch Records in Salem amazing place. Lots of rare stuff, which it's hard not to spend like hundreds and hundreds of dollars when you're there because it's really.
Because if you have a favorite band, chances are they have like a lot of rare stuff that they've done.
Exactly, yeah. So I bought this DVD of this movie called The Kids Are All Right. And I'm a big fan of The Who. It's my favorite band. And I've seen the movie countless times. I actually already own it on Blu-ray. But the thing about the Blu-ray is they don't have any of the special features that they put on the DVD. So when I saw the DVD, it was a couple bucks, and I was like, oh, I'll just pick this up and check out what interviews and stuff are on here. So I buy the DVD, I go home, and I put in the DVD and I start making lunch. And the very first feature on that DVD is a feature called Restoring the Kids Are All Right. And it's a documentary, about a 25-minute documentary about how they, basically the entire process of restoring a film, in this case, the Kids Are All Right, but it interviews every single aspect of what goes into film restoration, from actually going to like an old warehouse and digging up all the original negatives of the film that it was actually shot on, to scanning it into a computer, to going by frame, putting the frames back, like restoring, cleaning it up. If there's a tear, putting it back together and making it look like a new film again.
Right.
And it interviews all these people and all these different jobs. And I was just watching it, and I was just like, I was cooking, and then I just kind of stopped what I was doing. I just like stood there and watched like the whole thing. And I was just like, man, this is so unbelievably cool. Like, it just so... I hadn't had that like really just excited feeling in a really long time. Right. Even like I didn't get that feeling even when I was in college, you know, like just, that's the time when you're supposed to be kind of excited and looking forward to things. I was kind of feeling my way out, like just kind of figuring out what my direction was going to be. And like I could just kind of feel it, like as I was watching this thing, it's like, oh, I'm getting a sense of what I want to do.
Right.
And then I kind of just realized, like, that's, after this feature was over, I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. Like, it's because it's academic work. You have to research and know what films have yet to be restored and which ones are considered lost, where they're going to be, good leads in finding these actual films. And then the actual work of restoring them is kind of the work that I like doing. It's not... You can call it busy work, but to me, it's sort of unsung heroes. You know, you don't really think about, like, there's one example of, it was a single shot of Pete Townsend smashing his guitar, really quick snippet of him taking his guitar and smashing it into an amp. And this guy who's restoring it, he's going through frame by frame, and he shows the before, and it's got all these scratches, and at one point the film tears, and so it's all fucked up. And he says, like, it took me about like 145 hours and like weeks and weeks of work. And he's like, and now this is the finished product. And he plays it, and it's 3 seconds, and then you just see him smash the guitar, but it looks pristine. And he's like, when you buy the DVD and you watch it, you won't even know I spent that much time on it, but it's my masterpiece. That's my life's work right there.
Right.
And
I can see for somebody like us, like the allure of something like that. Like, something that nobody would even think twice about. They just see Pete smash his guitar. They have no idea the process behind that to make that image appear before you.
Yeah.
And how, like, the allure of something like that, it's like, I spent 145 hours on a 3-second clip that no one's going to think about. That's my life's work.
Yeah, yeah. And I just saw that, and I was like, God, that's... Like, I want to do that. I want to be that guy. And it might sound crazy to some people, but to me, it's like... It made things make sense of why I love movies, of why I love watching movies, why I love learning about movies, why I love writing about them, is because I'm obsessed with historical preservation.
Right.
I think that's what I really found out that I'm passionate about. I want to see things stored digitally, stored physically, in proper facilities to make sure that future generations, my generation, has access to these things and can be inspired again, like continuously passed on. And those are the people that make that happen, the people that actually do the dirty work, spend those hundreds of hours to make it happen. They're the ones that we should be thanking, you know, that we should really be given more credit to. And I I found it so inspiring, and I immediately started looking up what schools I can go to, internships, and that's sort of what the path I'm on right now. I don't know exactly what job I want as in archiving. It'd be cool to travel the world and find those lost films, but I don't know what kind of credentials you have to do that.
Right.
But honestly, what I'm going to try and go for is the guy at the computer. The guy who's actually, I think the telesign operator, I think is what it's called. And the guy's actually putting in the man hours and storing the stuff. I want to start training myself to do that, and then sort of figure out where I want to go to do that.
Right.
Which right now it's between probably LA or New York.
Which is ironic, because that's exactly where I'm heading. Within the next year, I'll probably be in New York City or LA.
Yeah.
Trying to get my shit under control. Is there anything else you want to say about that? Or?
Just that it's nice to finally have a focus after all these years. Because even just in this past year, I've been working at the mill, which it's a fine job. I have nothing bad to say about the place. But when it's not something that you want to do for the rest of your life, it could be kind of discouraging. But now that I know, it's like, okay, I'm saving money to start a new chapter. It's like I'm totally motivated now. It's kind of changed my whole outlook on things. I have a lot more energy just daily.
Right.
I'm working on a lot more things. I'm feeling more creative. I just been feeling good. Ever since I watched that and came to that realization, I think I've just become a different person, really.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's important is to find that focus, because we're in our early 20s, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people our age don't have that focus at all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're working at the mill and they think, oh, I'll do this till I'm 40, you know, or something like that, where it's like, or they have no idea what the fuck they're doing. They're wasting their money, wasting their time. And for me, I guess my interests are a bit more general. Like, you seem like you have a really specific focus on what, like so much in the fact that you can go to a specialized school for it.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm still kind of I don't want to say up in the air, because I have a focus of what I want to do, but I don't know where I want to start first. Because I pretty much have 5 things I'm trying to accomplish, or 5 things I would like to do, and that is 1, be a comedian, be an actor, be a director, be a screenwriter, be an author. Mm-hmm. Those the analogy I gave you, earlier today, it's like, if I can't be an actor, I'll be a comedian. If I can't be a comedian, I'll be a screenwriter. If I can't be a screenwriter, I'll be an actor. If I can't be an actor, I'll be a director. If I can't do that, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So, I don't really know. I think I'm going to go down to LA, or I'm going to go to New York, and just, right now I'm just saving money, just biding my time. And, when I feel like I have enough that I can, support myself for a while, I'm going to go, see what I can do at open mic nights, and, see if I can work on any films, like at studios and stuff like that, just whatever, and just keep writing the entire time.
Yeah. I think your best in would be as a comedian.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's kind of, in a way, you've sort of been prepping yourself to do that your whole life.
Right.
Because you've always been an entertainer in some sense of the word, whether it be through the slam poetry, through the radio, through daily conversations. You just entertain people.
Yeah, I try to. I don't know. I'm my head is feeling really congested right now, and I don't feel like I'm quite my normal self right now, so it's kind of hard for me to be like, yeah, I'm a big funny comedian, but because as soon as we press record, I just felt like my head was just compressed. But that's important to me, is I want to entertain people, but mainly I want to try to inspire people, because if I can accomplish any of those things, if I can be successful in any one of those fields, it's one of those true Cinderella stories, rags to riches kind of story, because I don't know anybody in the industry. I have no connections. I don't have anything like that going for me at all. I really don't have any money. I don't have I don't have anything. You know what I mean? It's just determination and maybe a little bit of talent or skill, but if I can make it, then truly anybody can fucking do it, as long as they're gonna try hard enough and work hard enough and not expect anything to be given to them. I'm not going out there and expecting, I deserve this, I'm so funny, this should all be happening to me. That's not my mentality. My mentality is, if it's going to happen, I'm going to have to work my ass off for it, and maybe even suck a little dick for it if I have to.
It's Hollywood, baby.
It's Hollywood, baby. If I got to suck that dick, I'll do it. But, I don't, hopefully it doesn't come to that, no pun intended. But I'm not going out there I'm so fucking funny, I deserve this, you know what I mean? Fuck that mentality. So many people have it.
You're not gonna have the magic night where you show up at an open mic and kill, and then there's a contract to You know,
right. I mean, if that happens, great. But I'm not preparing myself for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, like, I'm not watching amateur comedians right now. Like, I've been watching a lot of them, and a lot of them fucking suck. So I think my chances are pretty good. Like, all the comedians you're talking about nowadays, the amateur ones. I mean, like, your Louis C.K.'s, your Patton Oswalt's, your Dave Attell's. I mean, those guys are great. You know, they're doing their own thing. But like, a lot of the amateur comedians are just talking about fucking Facebook and stuff like that. It's like, you wouldn't believe what I read on Facebook. Like, that shit's not funny. You know, I want to tell stories about stuff that's happened in my life. For example, the story at the restaurant a couple months back. So basically, I was a manager at the restaurant, and I stepped down, and there's 2 managers on duty. One of them was off that, and I guess not on shift, but there's 2 managers at that shop. Once I stepped down, one of them was off that day. The other one was at the bank running the deposit, and I'm cooking. And a server comes up to me and is like, "Hey, this lady's kind of freaking out. She found a hair in her dish. She's freaking the fuck out. Like, can you talk to her?" And I'm like, "That's really, like, not my job anymore. Like, I've been doing that for years. I'm kind of over it. Like, I don't care about anyone. Like, I don't care about people who find hair in their food. It just happens sometimes." And she's like she's really freaking the fuck out. And of course I'm like, "All right, yeah, give me a second." And I go out into the lobby, and she told me what table she's sitting at. I'm like, "Hi, I heard you weren't happy with your meal." And it's a husband and a wife, and the husband is like this burly biker, got lots of tattoos, big fucking beard. He's probably in his 50s, big guy. And his wife is like one of those like frosted blonde hair, like to like cover her gray hair. Like, and she looks like, have you seen those photos of like, I want to see the manager kind of haircuts? Like, like these ladies have like the big sunglasses, like the spiked up blonde hair kind of deal. Like, they're wearing like capris and shit. And she goes, "There's a big nasty hair in my dish." And she holds it up, and it's like a really light long hair. And I'm like thinking of my staff. The server who came up to me has short brown hair. My sushi chef has pretty much a buzzed head. And then you have me, and I have short black hair. She's holding up this long blonde hair, and it kind of looks like one that came from her head. Or maybe her husband's beard or something. And I didn't say that, though. I didn't say that doesn't look like anyone. I mean, look at all of us. There's only 3 people working right now. We all have dark, short hair. I'm like, I'm really sorry about that. I understand how that can be unsettling. Can I make you another dish, or can I give you your money back, maybe? I want to make this right. Completely kissing ass. And she is making a big deal. She goes, "This is fucking gross," and like making a big scene in front of everybody. And I'm like, "Ma'am, like, you know, please don't yell and curse. I'm happy to do whatever it takes." And I'm like, "You know, I don't care what you say. I'm giving you your money back. I'd be happy to make you another dish, or maybe make you something to go, or anything like that." She goes, "No, I don't want my fucking money back," and just making a big scene. And I'm like, "Ma'am, like, you can't be screaming and cursing in the restaurant. Like, I don't want to have to ask you to leave, but I can't. We're a family restaurant. We have children here. You can't be yelling and cursing." And the husband is just looking down. And I've never seen anyone look so miserable besides maybe myself. And she's like, "This is fucking gross. I'm going to leave a Yelp review." And she's getting up and getting to go. And on her way, she goes, "Let's leave this shithole." And her husband is just like, I'm sorry. And I'm just like, "Have a good day." And I gave them their money back. Because like while she's talking to me, we were near the cash register anyway, and I'm just like, she paid with cash. I'm like, here's your money back. So she takes it and she goes into the parking lot or whatever. And like I was telling everyone in the restaurant, I was like, "Sorry about that," and everyone's like, "No, it's fine. And so I go back in the kitchen, and I'm like, my hands are like in my face, or my face is in my hands. I'm like, I need to fucking quit this job. Like, I can't do this shit anymore. Like, I'm so over it. I'm so sick of kissing everyone's ass and getting shit on all the time. And I'm like, all right, I'm going out for a cigarette. So I tell my server, I'm like, I'm gonna go outside and smoke. Like, I need a second. So I go outside, and I'm lighting up a cigarette. And like I said, this is a while ago. It's before I quit smoking. And the way we have to smoke in this restaurant, it's right in front of the parking lot in the back of the building. So I'm sitting on a bucket, and I'm lighting up a cigarette, and I'm like, fuck, like, my hands are shaking and stuff like that, and I'm just like, I fucking hate this. And this big, huge truck is in front of me, and it starts its engine. And like, I just noticed, I looked up, and I see it's them, the couple who was just yelling and all that. And the wife gets out of the car, and like is like I can't believe that all you want to do is give me my money back. Like, that's such an easy response. And I'm like, "Ma'am, like, I did everything I could. I don't know what more I could have done for you." And husband gets out of the car, and he's like, "You need to stop right now." He's like, "Stop," to her, not me. And she's like, "What?" And she goes, "Get in the car. I'll take care of this." I'm like, "Is this guy gonna fight me?" Like, am I gonna get like? And he's a big biker, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm exhausted. You know, I'm already like 9 hours into my shift, right? And he goes, get in the car, I'll take care of this. And I'm like, I'm getting ready because I'm like, if this guy's gonna attack me, like, I want to have my cell phone out, I want to record this or something, like, and like, so she gets in the car and like slams the door, and he's like, I'm so fucking sorry for all of this. And I'm like, all right, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, would you mind just leaving? Can you just leave me alone? And he goes, we're not from around here or anything like that. We're passing through town. And I'm like, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why is why are you freaking out like that? Like, did I not do everything I could for you? And he's like, look, like, he goes, I don't really know how to say this. I'm just gonna say it, but he goes, I'm divorcing that cunt. He goes, I fucking hate her. She always does that.
Oh God.
And I just wanted you to know that, you know, that not everybody's like that. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, yeah, like, I'm divorcing her. She doesn't know it yet, but I'm over this. And I'm like, wow. And he pulls $40 out of his wallet and he gives it to me. And he goes, give that to the waitress, you know what I mean? Like, and pay for our meal. And I'm like, it's fine. He goes, no, please take it. And he gets back in his truck, and I'm sitting there, and I'm decided to finish my cigarette, and like they drive off, and I'm just like, I fucking love my job. Like, that's awesome, you know what I mean? Like, and just the way he said, like, I'm gonna divorce this cunt, I was like, whoa. And that's like, I mean, like, I know that's a bad word, and people freak out when they hear it, but it's just like, whoa.
I mean, that's
a
pretty despicable human being. Like,
she was disgusting.
Yeah,
she
like,
was just the worst, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like, God, I never understand that. It's like, I feel like some people have that mentality of like they feel like they can get away with being horrible
right.
people if they feel like they're gonna have something gained from it.
Right.
Like, what are you gonna give me to make me shut up?
Exactly.
And that kind of mentality is just despicable. You know, like, I think whatever she has thrown at her by him, she definitely deserves.
Right.
Like, you know.
Yeah, I'm glad for that guy, because I could tell, like, I mean, I was looking at him, he was like, he couldn't even make eye contact with me when she was yelling all that. He was just so embarrassed and so downtrodden.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine, like, spending your life with somebody who's like that.
No.
And it was just like, I was thinking my job was really bad and my life really sucked. I was thinking, what about the guy who's married to that fucking idiot? You know what I mean? And I remember it was just so redeeming. He's like, I'm divorcing her. I'm like, wow, like, damn.
Yeah.
He's like, she doesn't know it yet, but I'm like, whoa.
It's gonna happen, yeah. It'd be interesting to check in with them now.
Yeah, well, they're not from where I was, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea how I'd find them, but
It'd be great if he came back through like Easy Rider style. He has like a bike and
yeah, he's like happier. Like,
yeah, he just comes in. He's just like, man. He hugs you and he's like,
how you doing, bud?
yeah. Just becomes your best friend. Like, he has like, you know, Peter Fonda he's driving with. Like, he's just biking across America, just like finding themselves.
Right. It's
what
like,
I picture him being right now.
the funny thing is I never told anybody at work about that.
Really?
You know what I mean? I mean, I when I came in with the $40, I'm like, oh, like, they saw me outside, and you know, I got them to calm down, and they just gave me the money, so I paid for their meal, and like the rest I just, you know, put in the tip jar for the staff. But it's like, I never told anyone that, and I don't really know why. Mainly because I don't want everyone asking me about it.
Yeah.
You know, because
yeah.
I hate, like, I don't know, I hate it when there's like a juicy piece of gossip and everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have the energy. That's the main reason why I stepped down, because I mean, I was like working like 60, 70, 80 hours a week, you know. I just don't have the energy to be like that person who's like, guess what just happened to me? Like, guess what I just heard? So, yeah, that's kind of a podcast exclusive, because it happened a while ago, and I just never told anybody, you know?
Yeah, and plus when it's at work, I sort of block out a lot of the negative experiences I've had at work, because it's like you kind of get in a professional mode where you're not functioning as you would normally function. You're functioning as a representative of a company,
Right?
And you know, you act differently. If that lady was just acting like that out of context, like screaming in your face, you'd probably handle things a little differently.
Yeah, most certainly I would have. I have a reputation.
Yeah, which actually we have. I think maybe for next podcast, I kind of want you to tell another recent concert story.
I think I need to stop going out in public, man.
Yeah.
I really do, because I just can't fucking take it. Like, in my job, I have to be so nice to people. Outside of my job, I don't have to be nice to you. If you're being a cocksucker, if you're being like that loudmouth bitch, I'm gonna put you in your place.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bother me. I don't lose sleep over it. I will be that person who shuts you the fuck up. And that's exactly what happened to two women and their boyfriend who were behind me at a concert last week.
Do you want to tell it now, or should we have next week be the concert story?
Okay, I think we should save it for next week. We'll end on a
little
cliffhanger.
Suspense, yeah.
Yeah, because we have a really good story of I don't want to say I lost my cool. I handled a situation. And that's what I do. I'm the handler, man.
Yeah. How about we just do like a concert episode? Talk about all the concerts.
Yeah, I don't know if I would talk about the Slipknot show again because I already did it.
Oh yeah.
And we talked about the Who concert a little bit.
Yeah, just the fat, like the idiot, like just the idiot, like dummy.
Well, didn't we made an oath after the podcast we'd never mention him again?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so we can't talk about that anymore.
But we could talk about the rest of the show, which was pretty cool. But,
yeah.
Maybe.
That'd be fun. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'll tell the story next podcast. I'll kick it off with that story. But yeah, I need to blow my nose and I need to like take Tylenol, I think. So I think that's this episode this week of Half Pod Will Travel.
No one knows the physical strain of recording for an hour. Like my mouth is dry, like my head hurts.
I have to poop. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm holding a fart. Like since you hit record, my life just turned upside down.
We're gonna tag team that damn toilet. It's not gonna. It's gonna see better days. That's for sure.
For sure. Oh God. All right. Well, I'm Mike Milan.
I'm Dana Henson.
This has been Half Pod Will Travel, and we'll see you in 7.